Welcome back, everybody, to the Even Your Dynasty show. On today's video, we're going to talk about the standout performers for the Giants for the second week of spring training. So, just a reminder, these are going to just be the games that took place from March 3rd through March 9th. So, a lot of good action in there. The offense, in particular, has been really, picking it up this spring. We've been seeing a lot of good things out of the team as a whole and just the way they're playing. Lots of clean baseball, lots of situational hitting, just doing the little things. They're 10-3 right now in Cactus League games, which at the end of the day, the spring training record doesn't matter. But we're going to feel a lot better about the team sitting at 10-3 than we would if they were 3-10. So, good to see that they're still winning some games here. But before we get going on that, I just first want to say thanks to Dan and Ricky for running the live show on Friday. Wish I could have been there with everybody. I could hardly breathe that night. I ended up actually in the ER on Saturday night. So I thank you guys for holding it down. Thanks for all the support, everybody. I mean, just for anybody that's wondering, I've had pneumonia. So I'm not dying or anything, but, you know, just been sick. So appreciate all the support from everyone. And we're going to talk a little bit of baseball, and hopefully I'll be able to do kind of the normal amount of content this week. But first guy that's really stood out was Matt Chapman. He is about as hot as any player on the planet at the moment. 6 for 8 last week, 3 home runs, 2 walks, and a stolen base. Next was Willie Adames, went 4 for 11 with a home run and a double. Finally got some of that extra base power out there. Hit the first home run. Unfortunately, it wasn't in a game that we were able to watch, but nice to see him get that one out of the way. Next player that really has been kind of starting to take a big step forward and making a big roster push is Casey Schmidt. 4 for 9 last week with 2 home runs and a double. He's quietly got his average up over like 280 right now for spring. He has a near 1,000 OPS for spring. And, it's spring training. The numbers don't really matter, but his defensive versatility, he's showing all the reasons why you'd want him around. The ability to, occasionally give Chapman a day off at third base. You could still keep Chapman in the lineup as the DH on those days, but give Chapman a day off on occasion. Give Willie Adames a day off on occasion. Give Fitzgerald a day off at second on occasion. Be available, to play these different spots. And the way he's hitting right now, you might even give him a game here and there as the DH, but he's also showing some really nice pop off the bench where he could be a nice, option late in a game. He's got some really good pull side power, and he's been producing some pretty good exit velocities during this spring. So I think he's a great fit as a utility guy. Obviously, him and Wisely are competing for that role, and Wisely has the advantage of being left-handed, and it very well may just come down to the fact that Wisely's left-handed for that role. But Casey Schmidt was a really good producer this past week with the 2 home runs. Mike Yastrzemski had a good week as well, 3 for 11, 2 home runs. Grant McCray, now this is one that I wanted to highlight something in particular with his streak. He went 5 for 7 with 2 walks and 2 stolen bases. There were no extra base hits in that, but he did have 0 strikeouts. And then if you actually look at, I'm going to kind of peek into today's game a little bit as well. I think he's had 3 or 4 plate appearances at this point and no strikeouts today. It's a good trend to see. Now, you look at the whole spring, he still has like a 32% strikeout rate on the spring. But after that horrible start, he's completely cut the strikeouts out. And that's the kind of player that we all want to see. Because if he's doing that, even if he's not showing a ton of power, he can be super valuable, and he's kind of been creating runs all over the place with his legs, scoring from first on doubles and, taking extra bags and all sorts of good stuff. So love seeing that out of McCray this week. The next player I wanted to highlight was Sabine Ceballos. I'm more going to talk about his whole spring because only had 4 plate appearances last week, but 1 for 2 with a home run and 2 walks. The home run came with 2 outs when the Giants were down to their last out in the 9th inning. against Chicago yesterday or on Sunday, and hit a 3-run home run that flipped the game from them being down to them being up 2. So really nice to see that. He's 4 for 7 on the spring. It's nothing crazy, but I do want to, draw attention to a young guy that's in his first big league camp, and he's doing some nice things. So good for Ceballos. Really looking forward to seeing him in Double-A this season. Him in the Eastern League, his power is really intriguing, and it'll be fun to see how he handles that. And then on the pitching side, Justin Verlander, 4 innings pitched, an earned run, 4 hits, 4 strikeouts. Just kind of a, really quality outing that he gave. Now looking at how a couple different guys are doing in different competitions. We already talked about Schmidt's numbers, but for the other utility spot, Wisely went 1 for 8 with a double and a walk. And then Basabi, he was actually optioned to minor league camp. So I didn't even pull his numbers, but he already got optioned over to minor league camp. For the 4th outfield spot, Gerard Encarnacion, he's kind of a, DH, first base, outfield, whatever you want to call him, but I'm going to throw him in this category. 2 for 11 last week. He slowed down. He obviously had that monster first week and a half or so. Slowed down the last week, but 2 for 11. And then Luis Matos, 4 for 9 with a double. And on that double, I feel like it was just as much a Grant McCray highlight because as I'm playing the highlight right now, look at how fast McCray scores on this ball. So he had a really good week as well. And then for the backup catcher spot, Sam Huff had another solid week, 2 for 2, a double, 3 walks. And then Max Stassi, 1 for 6 on the week. I would say it's probably pretty obvious now that Sam Huff is the far and away favorite to be the backup at the moment. He's at over 300 in spring, strong arm. He's on the 40 man, but I'm sure they're going to keep letting this play out. Sounds like Murphy's getting another, injection. We'll see if Murphy ever even suits up for the Giants again. For the 5th starter spot, Hayden Birdsong didn't pitch in big league camp this week. Kyle Harrison, 1 2/3 innings, 5 earned, 7 hits, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. He got kind of badly knocked around in the 1 inning. They did the thing where you pull a guy out and then put him back in afterward. So he came in for a 2nd inning, actually threw a clean inning. The velo was down. Supposedly he got sick, and Miller had 104-degree fever and was out for like a week or so. So maybe that impacted the velocity. You know what? As a guy that had 104-degree fever on back-to-back days, and I was basically bedridden for those, I can't imagine trying to throw at a high velocity. So I'm going to throw him some slack here. But I don't really like the mindset where he's kind of come out and said, well, I don't need the velo. Like, yes, there is evidence to what he's saying. Like the fastball does play at 92. He's shown that it's a well above average pitch at 92. The problem is it's not elite unless it's really up around 95, 96. And right now he has an above average pitch and then a bunch of well below average pitches. That's not going to really do it for anybody. You need to have an elite pitch if you're not going to have a bunch of other really great pitches. So that's kind of where I disagree with Kyle on that one. But we'll see, because we'll see where his velocity's at as the spring continues. But I know that is a big talking point right now with Kyle. And then Landon Roop, someone finally got to him. Now the first start was great. 3 1/3 innings versus San Diego, and it was a lot of their starters. No earns, no walks, no hits. Only blemish was a hit by pitch. And then he pitched against Chicago on Sunday, and he got knocked around, which, it happens. Everyone's going to have a bad outing here and there. His sinker command was off, and, that's kind of what happens. We've seen it with Webb when the sinker he doesn't have command of his sinker, and he's leaving it up and out over the plate, it gets knocked around. So 2nd outing, 3 2/3 innings, 5 earned, 7 hits, and 3 strikeouts. I would still say Roop is probably the favorite to be the fifth starter. It's just kind of how I feel, or at least he should be the favorite. Um, he has had the most, he's looked the most ready to pitch in the majors in a starting role of the three of them, in my opinion, because of the fact that I don't have concerns with his command as a whole, like his ability to throw strikes, I should say. The other two, that concern is still there quite often. So that's kind of how I feel on that. But, there's still, 2.5, 3 weeks left in the spring. So we'll see. But thanks everybody for sticking with me. I know my voice isn't great right now. If you do enjoy the content though, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll hopefully have another video that comes out this week. And then I'm planning on being at the live show on Friday. It'll just depend on if I'm able to like sustain talking for, an hour and a half without just going into massive coughing fits. So appreciate all the love and support, guys. Go Giants, and we'll talk to you soon.